Hi, this is going to be the second lecture on vector spaces. So let us start. So in the first lecture, we ended with the definition of a vector space. I hope all of you remember, so I don't have to repeat. Okay, because if I give all those 8 conditions again, I'm sure it is going to take about 10 minutes. Okay, so please keep that in mind. I hope you had seen it. Okay, let us get started our work. Right. So we want to give a few more examples of a. So what is a vector space? I'm not going to define. There is some operation called vector addition, and there is an operation called scalar multiplication. Vector addition is a map from V cross V to V, and scalar multiplication is a map from R cross V to V. Okay, with certain properties. This has about 4 properties, what we call P1 to P4, and this has properties S1 to S4. Okay, these are the 8 properties I don't want to spell out. Okay, now we had already seen Rn as a vector addition and scalar multiplication. Also we have seen if I have a system of homogeneous equations, then I have SH, the set of solutions of the homogeneous system. This is also a vector space. Okay, notice that the elements are subsets of Rn, assuming there are m equations in n unknowns. With that notation, yes. Okay, now one of the most important example is the so-called, let us look at matrices of size m cross n with real entries. Okay, we will denote it by m cross r, but as my friend Professor Vikas Bisht would write, which is a very nice notation, this is r m cross n. Right. Okay, that is his notation, which is very nice notation. I like it. M cross m. Okay, what does that mean? It's all m cross n entries with real values. That's it. Anyway, so given any two matrix A and B, then I know how to add. If A is A plus Ij, Aij, and B is Bij, where one less than or equal to I, less than or equal to M, one less than or equal to J, less than or equal to M, right? Then what is A plus B? That is a matrix C. Then I have to tell you what is the ijth entry. What is the ijth entry of C? That is nothing other than the addition of two ijth entries of A and B, Bij. Right? Okay. Now you can check this vector addition satisfies. Okay, this satisfies P1 to P4. All the 4 conditions are satisfied. Okay, this is very trivial to check. As usual, as we saw in the case of Rn, all the properties will follow from the corresponding properties of R. Okay, go back, we checked it with respect to Rn, we said that. Okay, like the addition is commutative, addition is associative, all those things follow from something to do with R. Same thing here. Okay, you should check it. Don't take it for granted. Okay, many of you will like to assume. Okay, it should be all right. No, you should check it. The next is the so-called scalar multiplication. So let T be a real number. Then T dot A, this must be a matrix. To know this matrix, I have to tell you what is the ijth entry. Call this matrix as B. Then I have to tell you what is the ijth entry of B. This is nothing other than T into Bij. That's it. Therefore, this matrix will be T into Aij. This matrix is T Aij. If A is Aij. That's it. So again, you can check this satisfies all S1 to S4. For example, when T equal to 1, that is Aij. Therefore, T dot that is 1 dot a is 1. And similarly, if you want t times a plus b, that will be t times aij plus bij, that is t times aij plus t times bij. Then you write it as a sum of two matrices. Okay, so I leave these things. Okay, please do this as an exercise. Do not assume these are all obvious, straightforward. The only way you can remember P1 to P4 and S1 to S4 so that you don't have to memorize is check in this example. S1 is true, S2 is 3, S3 is 4, true, S4 is true. Similarly, P1, P2, P4 are true. Then you keep on revising P1, P4 and S1, S4. Then 4, they stay in your mind. You don't have to make any special effort to remember them. Okay, so please verify. Okay, right. Okay, the next second example, which is very important, is the polynomials. Okay, I hope that all of you know what is a polynomial. Okay, what is a polynomial? It is of the form px equal to some a0 plus a1x plus an x power n. If an is not equal to 0, then you call it a polynomial of degree n. Okay, where are a's? These are all in R. So we say it's a real polynomial. The coefficients are real numbers, right? Then I hope all of you know what is meant by addition. Suppose this is b0, b1x, bm, x power m. Notice that m and n may be varying, but what do you do? What you do is, if suppose n is greater than or equal to m, then you write it as b0 plus b1x plus bm x power m, assume bm is not equal to 0 if you want, plus bm plus 1 x power m plus 1, etc. bn x power n, where this is 0, this is 0. That is plus br x power r is from m plus 1 to n, where br is assumed to be 0. Right? Therefore, what is px? P plus q. I want to define an addition of polynomials. P plus q at x must be a polynomial. Okay. So what is the coefficient? The coefficients are a0 plus b0. Next one will be a1 plus b1 times x. Next one will be a2 plus b2 times x squared and plus an plus bn times x power n. Do you see something very interesting? Okay, this P, if I write as an ordered n plus 1 tuple and Q also write as an ordered n plus 1 tuple, then P plus Q is the ordered n tuple A0 plus B0, A1 plus B1, AN plus 1, sorry, AN, BN, AN plus BN. You understand that? Except when I say A0 plus B0, I will write power x. Then I write A1 plus B1, I write x power 1. When I say AR plus BR, I multiply by x power r. Okay, so it's as good as like Rn only. Yeah, right. But anyway, we define. So again, you have to check this satisfies P1 to P4. Now, what is scalar multiplication? That's also easy. Suppose T is a real scalar, then T times P, this must be a polynomial at x. Okay, this is what? This is T times A0 plus T times A1x plus T times A2x squared and so on plus T times an x power n. Okay, so my vector space V consists of all polynomials of all degrees. Okay, notice that 0 is a 0 polynomial. That means 0 plus 0x plus 0x power kind of thing. Okay, it's a 0 polynomial. And there are also constant polynomial. What are constant polynomial? It has only a0 term. Okay, no other positive power of x is present in that. This degree is, by definition, is degree is 0. Right? And then if I have a naught plus a1x, this is of degree, assuming a1 is not equal to 0, this is of degree 1. And this a naught is degree 0. This you don't assign any degree. Sometimes you may assume it's minus infinity or 0, but let's not worry about such things. Okay. So you can see the scalar multiplication also satisfies S1 to S4. Therefore, set of polynomials is a vector space over R. Right? Now you can ask, see, this means any degree is allowed. Okay, there is no restriction on the number of on the degree, right? But you can ask a question. Suppose I take only nth degree polynomials, where n is a natural number, let us say, nth degree polynomial. Will it form a vector space? Yeah, it will not. Why? Because if I take, for example, x power n, this is nth degree polynomial. Take minus x power n, that is the coefficient is minus 1 here. It's also nth degree polynomial. Call this p of x, call this q of x. If I add, what do I get? P plus q, this polynomial is 0 polynomial. But n, I am taking only nth degree polynomials, therefore this cannot be there. Therefore, it's not closed under vector addition. Okay. To nth degree polynomial, the sum may not be an nth degree polynomial. If you don't like this, I can also give a simpler example. Suppose let us take p of x equal to pi x power n, pi x power 6. This is my n equal to 6, right? And q of x equal to pi x power 6 plus 6x power 5. Then what will be p plus q? This polynomial is 6x power 5. You understand? So if I consider only polynomials of degree 6, okay, the sum of two such polynomials may not be a polynomial of degree 6. But what I know, its degree will be less than or equal to 6. Is that clear? Yeah. Therefore, degree of p plus q will be less than or equal to degree of p, or let us say degree of p and degree of q, right? You understand? Therefore, it will be less than or equal to maximum of the degree. Do you follow this? Are you sure you follow? Okay. So, this suggests what we should do is we should look at Pn to be a polynomial and whose degree is less than or equal to n, where n is a natural number. You understand? If I have degree n equal to 6, then 0 polynomial is included, constant polynomials a naught are included, first degree polynomials are included, second degree polynomials are included, and fifth degree polynomials and sixth degree polynomials are included. So any element here will be of the form a naught plus a1x plus a6x power 6, where a are in R. Now notice that I am not claiming a6 is different from 0, not claiming, because it's a polynomial of p must be less than or equal to 6. So it could be a6 maybe 0 also. Do you follow that? And so as an exercise, you can check Pn is a vector space for R. Notice that earlier case we took polynomials of all degrees. Here we are fixing a natural number n and we are looking at polynomials of degree less than or equal to that particular n. Then also it's a vector space. But on the other hand, if I take polynomials of a very specific degree, let us say polynomials of degree only 10, that may not be a vector space, because when I add two such polynomials, its degree may drop. It may not be 10, it may be less. It can happen. You follow that? Okay. Right, now let's look at a slightly different example, which is usually not done Okay, let us look at C, the set of complex numbers. I'm sure all of you have seen from your high 12th standard set of complex numbers. Right? I want to make it as a vector space. If I want to make this as a vector space, what I have to do? I have to define what is addition. Now to start with two complex numbers z and w, then z plus w is a complex number. This is an addition of two complex numbers. You understand? So that is my addition. Do you understand what I mean? If z is x plus iy and w is u plus ib, what is z plus w? It is x plus u plus I times y plus b. Okay, therefore it's again a complex number. Notice that complex number may be purely imaginary and purely real, or it could be mixed baggage. Okay, maybe x may be 0, then it will be, and if y is not 0, it's purely imaginary, or x is not 0, y may be 0. In that case, it's a real number. Whereas x and y both are non-zero, that can also happen. You follow that? All such possibilities. So I'm looking at the set of all complex numbers, right? So what is the addition? It's an ordinary addition of two complex numbers. And what is the scalar multiplication? Remember, I want it to be over R, which can multiply a vector is a real number. So let t be there and z be a complex number. Then I have to define what is t dot z. Right? This is by definition is the product of two complex numbers. That's it. But even though I say product of two complex numbers, remember t is real. Therefore, if I write z equal to x plus iy, what is tz? It is tx plus I times ty. That is tx plus I times ty. You understand? Now you know that complex numbers addition is commutative, associative, and take the complex number z equal to identical 0, that is x is 0, y is 0. Then we have z plus 0 is same as 0 plus z for every complex number z. And similarly, if you give me a z, which is x plus iy, then what is, I am looking for a w, so that z plus w must be equal to 0. This is 0 plus I0. And this is, I'm using the earlier notation, x plus u plus I times y plus b. This must be 0 plus iy. When are two complex number equal? When is a plus ib equal to c plus id, where a, b, c, d are real numbers. This is if and only if a is c and b is d, right? Therefore, this is equal to I times 0. This is equal to 0 if and only if x plus u must be 0 and y plus b must be 0. That means u must be, u is unknown. U is minus x, v is minus y. Therefore, my w, which is minus z, is what we call, this is nothing other than minus x minus I times y. You should actually write minus x plus I times minus y. Do you understand? Okay. But we usually write it minus x minus y. Is that all right? Okay. So you can check the complex addition satisfies P1 to P4. And similarly, the scalar multiplication also satisfies S1 to S4. Therefore, C is a vector space over the field R. Okay. Now let's look at the fourth example. Okay. Fourth example is, let's look at the sequences, set of all real sequences. So what is this? This is with the standard notation where ANs are real. And usually you will write n equal to 1 to infinity, but I don't write such things. And I also don't write this way sequence, because nowadays this notation, okay, is used for sets. Okay, therefore I don't use this. I use for sequences. Anyway, okay. Now I will simply call A equal to AN. The same way, do you remember I called x equal to x1 to xn in Rn. I denote by only x. Similarly, the sequence an, I'll simply call it a. Another sequence b equal to bn. Okay, I want to define an addition. So I have to define what is a plus b. Now remember, a plus b must be a sequence of real numbers, right? That means I have to tell you what is the nth term of this sequence. You already know this is nothing other than the nth term is a plus b is the sequence whose nth term is an plus bn. That is sum of the nth terms of the sequence a and b. Okay. With this addition, you can check P1 to P4 are true. Okay, because a plus b is same as b plus a. When are two sequences equal? If and only remember, sequence is a function from natural numbers to R. Therefore, when are they equal? The function's value at n should be equal. Yeah, the function's value at n is an. For the function's value for this sequence at n is bn. They have to be equal. That is an equal to bn for all n. Okay. Therefore, what will be b plus a? That will be bn plus an. So when are these two equal? If and only the nth terms of these two sequences must be the same. That is an plus bn must be equal to bn plus an. Is it true? Yes. Follow that? Similarly, associativity. Now what is the 0? 0 is the 0 sequence. Constant sequence 0. Where the constant is 0. Then what will be a plus b? A plus 0. If you want, call it theta. A plus 0 is an plus 0 for all n. Therefore, it's an. And similarly, 0 plus a, right? And what, given a, what is a plus b equal to theta? Now again, a plus b will be an plus bn. That must be equal to 0. Therefore, these two sequences are equal. That means an plus bn must be 0 for all n. That means my bn must be minus an. Therefore, the sequence must be minus an. And what is the scalar thing? T times a. Its nth term is t times an. Okay. And what is 1 times a? That is 1 times an. That is an. That is the sequence a. Yeah. So you can check P1 to P4 and S1 to S4 are true. Okay. So I forgot to produce PRP for a very long time. I'm very sorry. So pause, review, and proceed. PRP. Okay, we have seen 4 examples. All are very easy, but you should check. I would suggest the best thing will be take some time off, break this, stop the video, take a pen and paper and check all these things. In every case, check P1, P2, P3, P4, S1, S2, S3, S4. If you check all these 4 examples, now you don't have to remember P1 to P4, S1 to S4. You will know. And you will also be able to write down the definition of a vector space. Okay, it will come automatically. You don't have to make an effort to memorize it separately. Okay. Now my point is, I am going to give an example which encompasses, that is, it includes all these things as special cases. Yeah, all these cases are special cases. Okay, so this is a very general example. Okay, let X be any set, non-empty of course. Okay, and let us look at B to be the set of all functions f from X to R. All functions, okay? Not, remember, nothing like continuity, nothing. Okay, X is some set, I don't know. Okay, all functions from X to R, all. This simple means if it's any function from X to R, right? I want to make it a vector space. All real valued functions. So what does it mean? You give me f and g in V, I have to define f plus g in V. Okay. When does f plus g belong to V? F plus g must be a function from where to where? X to R. To say this is a function, what is that I have to do? I have to tell you what is its value at any point, arbitrary point x. You give me x in x. Okay. I have to tell you what is f plus g at x. What should this be? F plus g is a function from x to R. Therefore, f plus g at x must be a real number. Right? Now, f is a function from x to R. Fx is a real number. G is a function from x to R. Therefore, gx is a real number. Now, what should be the natural way of defining f plus g at x? We are defining. You understand that? Many students do not appreciate. Okay, given I know how to add two real numbers, now you gave me two functions, I want to add them. That is something which I am doing. I am meaning we mathematicians are doing. This is the real number f plus fx plus gx. Do you appreciate this? Yeah, this is not automatic. It's us, we are defining it. We are defining it. Do you understand this? Are you sure? Okay. Okay, good. So this is an addition. Okay, now I want to check this addition satisfies P1 to P4. Okay, I'll go through this okay in detail, because many times though earlier cases are somewhat easier, I didn't spend much time. For Rn I spent all the time. You remember that? I took a lot of pains to explain everything in Rn. And since the earlier 4 examples are essentially the same kind of trick, I didn't explain. But here we are dealing with something slightly more abstract. So I'll take a lot of pain to do that. What is P1? Given f and g in V, I have to check whether f plus g is same as g plus f. First, when do I say two functions phi and xi? We had already done it. Okay. When do I say these functions are equal? Two functions are equal with the same domain, right? If and only if for all x in the domain, phi x must be equal to gx, psi x. Then only I say phi equal to g. Usually, teachers and students, beginning students, will say identically equal to. You don't have to say that. When I say two functions are equal, this is the only meaning. What is the meaning? At each x in x in the domain, the functions I take the same values, phi of x equal to xi of x. So I have to check f plus g, is it equal to g plus f, right? Now I know when are they equal. They are equal if only you give me an x in x. I have to check f plus g at x, is it equal to g plus f at x. This is all I have to check. But let us look at now how did we define f plus g at x? That is fx plus gx. And how is g plus f at x is defined? That is gx plus fx. What I am asking, whether they are equal. Okay. What is the answer? Of course, yes, they are equal, because this is a real number, this is a real number. Addition of two real numbers is commutative. Do you see that? The same pattern repeats. Even in Rm, I said vector addition is commutative, follows from the commutativity of the addition of real numbers. Here I am defining addition of two functions. The commutativity of addition of two functions follows from the commutativity of addition on real numbers. Isn't it beautiful? The same thing is going to happen with associativity. So what is that I have to check? Now you are giving an added triple f plus g. So what I have to do? I have to do f plus g. I add these two first. This is a function, and add h, okay, to this. Or add g and h. This is a function on x, and add f to this. I have to check whether they are equal. Okay. This again, what do you think this will follow from? Did you guess it? Yes. The associativity of the addition for functions will be a consequence of the associativity of the addition of real numbers, right? Okay, let us quickly go through that. So I have to check these two functions are equal. What does that mean? I have to check, evaluate these functions at this. I have to check whether they are equal. These two real numbers are equal. Now let us look at this. What is f plus g plus h? This acting on x. You understood this? Okay. This is why I wanted to do it. So you should not get confused. Okay. When I write f at x, how do I write? F plus g at x. This is how I wrote. You understand? Therefore, f plus g is a function, h is a function. They are addition and its value at x. This is how I should write. So what is this by definition? Notice that it is f plus g at x plus h at x. Do you understand? Now next, what is f plus g at x? F plus g at x is f plus fx plus gx. Now this I added, this is a number, so I have to put this plus hx. Okay, this is the left side. Now let's look at the right side. What? So I have to look at f plus g plus h and this at x. What is this by definition? This is f at x and g plus h at x. You understand? But this is f at x plus g at x plus h at x. What is that I am asking? Whether they are equal. Now are they equal? Yes, because fx, gx, hx are real numbers. So what does this equality mean? Whether the associativity holds for addition of real numbers. We know it holds. Therefore, this equality holds. Therefore, this equality holds. Therefore, this equality holds. That means this equality holds. You understood that? Okay. Please pause, review, proceed. Because this is one thing, I mean, beginning students will have difficulty because of the notation. So the best way to master over the notation is go through it again. And what is the P3? Now P3 says there should exist a function theta in V so that f plus theta equal to f for every f in V. Okay. We want to find the theta. Theta equal to what? That's a question. Right? Now what we do is the same way I did for Rn. I didn't simply write take theta equal to minus f. It may not make sense. You understand? So theta must be a function from x to r. So, right? So if these two functions are equal, then f plus theta at x must be equal to f at x. This is for all x in x. What is this by definition? This is fx plus theta x must be equal to fx. Now what do I know? Fx is a real number, theta x is fx is a real number, theta x is a real number. Somehow these two real numbers equal to real number fx. Then what does that mean? That means theta x must be 0. For which x? For each x. Because I took an arbitrary x. Therefore, what is my theta? So I define, now we are defining. Define theta from x to r by setting theta x equal to 0 for all x in x. That's it. Then f plus theta equal to, f plus theta equal to f equal to theta plus f. Whatever. Is that okay? Quick PR. Now let's look at P4. It says give me any f in V. I want to know that there is a g in V so that f plus g equal to the theta. So I have to find out what is theta, right? Sorry, what is g? Now let's look at when are these two functions equal? If and only f plus g at x must be equal to theta at x. What is theta at x? It is 0. What is f plus g at x? It is fx plus gx. So what do I want? Fx plus gx, this real number must be the real number 0. What is unknown? Gx is unknown. G is unknown and then gx is unknown. Fx is known. Therefore, what do I conclude? Gx must be the real number minus of fx. This is the additive inverse of the real number fx. You understand? For any real number a in R, we have a unique real number b, so that a plus b is 0. This b is what we denote by minus a. You understand? Minus a is a notation for such a b. Therefore, minus f is a notation so that fx plus gx, fx plus minus fx will be 0. You follow that? Therefore, I define now g from x to R by g of x equal to minus fx. What is minus fx? Look at the value of f at x and take the additive inverse of f, that real number. Okay, then f plus g is theta. Yeah, please pause, review, proceed. Now let's look at S1. I have to define, right? I have not yet defined, right? Okay. Now I have to define the scalar multiplication R cross B to B. That is, you are going to give me a T. You are going to give me a function f from x to R. Then I should define T dot f. Now T dot f must be a function from x to R. That means I have to define T dot f is value at x. It must be a real number. Now what is the natural way of doing? Remember, fx is a real number, t is a real number, therefore I can multiply these two real numbers. This is a product in R. Multiplication in an R. You understood that? Yeah? Right. Now we have to check whether it satisfies S1, S2, S4. What is S1? I don't remember it S1 very correctly, but okay. Let us assume it is S plus T times F. Is it equal to SF plus TF? I am not writing dot. If you want, I have to put a dot here. Okay. So when are these two functions equal? The same rigmarole. Okay. The same thing I have to keep repeating. S plus T and F. This is a function whose value at x. See, these are the things beginners may not know how to write. That's why I'm doing. Okay. So let us do that. What is this? Okay. This is S plus T real number times Fx. This is a real number. You understand that? What is T times F? T times F at x is T into Fx. Therefore, S plus T dot F at x is S plus D. Multiply it with Fx. You understand this? Okay. Now, what is this? Now, this is, notice that this is just S is a real number, T is a real number, Fx is a real number. Therefore, I know in real number distributive law holds. Therefore, this is S times Fx, the product of two real numbers. This is T times Fx. This is a product of two real numbers. Do you understand this? Right. Now let us look at this side. S dot F plus T dot F at x. What is this? Remember, this is some function plus some function times x at evaluated x. Do you remember f plus g at x is fx plus gx? Therefore, this is S dot F at x plus T dot F at x. Next, what is S dot F at x? This is S into fx plus this is T into fx. Are they equal? Of course they are equal. Identically the same. You understand? Therefore, we have proved the first one. And second one, I will leave it for you. This is S into F plus G. Whether it is equal to S dot F plus S dot G. Maybe I will do that. Okay. So let us look at S dot F plus G at x. Okay. This is S into F plus G at x. Do you see that? This is one real number, this is one real number. But what is this? This is S into, what is F plus G at x? This is Fx plus Gx. But what is this? This is Sfx plus Sgx, because again distributive law over R in R. Now the same thing here, S dot F plus S dot G at x. This is by definition, this is some function plus some function at x. That is this function at x and this function at x. And this s dot f at x is s into fx and s into gx. Are they equal? Yes. Therefore, S2 follows. So pause, review, proceed. Okay. Now next is S3. St times f is s times t times f. This is a question where s and t are real numbers, right? But what is this? This is st f at x, whether it is equal to s tf at x. Notice that this is a function whose value at x. I have to be careful in writing the bracket. That's the only thing, right? Now, what is this by definition? Some scalar multiple of function at x is st, okay, of fx, right? But what is this? St and fx, these are all real numbers. Therefore, this is associated with the real number. This is s into t into fx. Because associative, I can write it any way I want. Now, let's look at this. What is this by definition? This is, okay. Notice that this is a function, tf is a function. Therefore, sg. What is sg at x? That is s into gx. Huh? But s into, what is gx? It is tf at x. tf at x. But these are all real numbers, s t f x. Therefore, this is same as s dot p dot x. You see that? Whether these two are equal is what you are asking. But they are equal because associativity of the multiplication in R. The last one S4. That is very easy. 1 dot f equal to f. 1 dot f at x. This by definition is 1 into fx. But it is same as fx. And this is also same as fx. Therefore, this is also true. So what have we shown now? We have shown that the set of all functions from a non-empty set x to R, it's a vector space over R. We have defined addition, we also defined scalar multiplication, and we have shown that it is a vector space. Okay, this is usually not done in the first course, but this is a very important example. Okay, so that's why I went through all the checkings, verifications in detail, as I did in the case of Rn. Please go through it. Okay, and better you check it with your friends, discuss this, make sure you understand. Okay, before I end the lecture, let me say why the earlier case are all special cases of this example. The earlier examples are special cases of this example. Let us start with the sequences. Okay, this is set of all sequences a equal to an. An's are in real, right? Notice that this is nothing other than set of all functions from n to r. Because what is the definition of sequence? It's a function from n to r, right? Very good. Now, how do I add these two functions here, f plus g at n? This is fn plus gn, right? Now take any sequence. How did I add here? an, bn. I added as an plus bn. So you see that it's the same thing. Because if you call this as a is sequence, therefore a at n you denote by an. Therefore the sequence a you denote by a1, a2, an, etc. The infinite tuple. You understand? Therefore, what will be a plus b at n? According to me, it will be a at n plus b at n, but that is a suffix n plus b suffix n. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time, but go through that. Then what is t dot a at n? This is a new sequence whose nth term is t dot a is a new sequence whose nth term is TIN. But when I consider as a function T dot A at n is multiply this T and the value of A at n, that is T into A at n, which is T into AN. So they are the same. Do you see that? Okay, take some time if you have difficulty, no problem. And let's look at the more challenging one for you, maybe set of all M cross N matrices over R. Okay, now my set X is the set 1 to M and the set 1 to N, the Cartesian product, right? Therefore, any typical element here will be an ordered pair ij in X, where 1 is less than or equal to I, less than or equal to M, because I has to be here in the first factor. J has to be in the second factor, therefore 1 less than or equal to J less than or equal to N. You understand this? Therefore, what are the functions? Suppose A is a function, let me call it capital A, is a function from X to R. Therefore, A at ij, I denote by A suffix ij. You understood that? Now, do you see that how this function A corresponds to, this is a function A, correspond to matrix A, that matrix is Aij. Okay. Now, how do I add the functions? Two functions. Functions A plus B at ij is A at ij plus B at ij. But what is A at ij? This is Aij plus Bij. But this is nothing other than the sum of two matrices, ijth entry of the matrix. You follow that? Just think over. Okay. If it's a little too intimidating, do not bother. But it will be very nice for you to learn this way. Okay. Right. Before going further, I'll give you very simple-minded exercises. I hope you will all do. Okay. Let us look at n cross n matrix, that is square matrices. Sorry, of n. Then you know what is meant by symmetric matrix. Symmetric matrices, when I say Aij is symmetric, if Aij equal to Aj for all ij. Right? So let us look at S symmetric matrices NR. All symmetric matrices of size n. Okay. Since they are given to any two symmetric matrices, I know how to add two matrices, therefore I can add. But you can see if A and B are symmetric, A plus B is also symmetric. And similarly, if T is a scalar, T times A is also symmetric. Therefore, you have vector addition and a scalar multiplication. Therefore, what do I want you to prove? That this is a vector space over R. And similarly, skew symmetric matrices. What are skew symmetric matrices? If A equal to Aij, then Aij must be Aj for all ing. And prove that skew symmetric matrices, this is also vector space over R. Right? And next example is something to sequences. Okay. Let S be all bounded sequences. What is meant by bounded sequence? When do you say a sequence AN is bounded? If there exists an M, so that mod AN is less than or equal to M for every M. Then I say A is bounded. Right? So if I take a sequence A and a sequence B, which are bounded sequences, okay, for A, that means mod AN is less than or equal to M. Let us say M1. For B, that is mod BN is less than or equal to M2. Then mod AN plus BN will be less than or equal to M1 plus M2 for all n. Right? Therefore, the sequence, then this is also bounded. That means it's in SB. You understand that? So we know how to add two sequences. If I take two bounded sequences, when I add, I again get a bounded sequence. And similarly, if I take a scalar, then t times a will be the sequence tan, and mod tan will be less than or equal to mod t into m. Therefore, this is also bounded sequence. You understand that? I'm going a little fast, but by now you should know. Therefore, you can show SB is again what? Vector space overall. Notice that SB is a subset of all sequences. It's a vector space overall. Okay. I hope that's enough for today. Please go through all these examples, and I can only repeat. In each of the examples, verify all the 8 properties, P1 to P4 and S1 to S4. If you keep doing, you will become very, very comfortable what is to be checked. And that is why I took a lot of pains to do very thorough job about Rn, and again a very thorough job for all functions. Okay, please review. We will meet again with some two very interesting examples in the next lecture. Okay, stay tuned for that. Till then, bye.